Get guests from all around the world who are visiting our country, a beautiful country, India, and a beautiful place, Bangalore. I welcome you all on behalf of every Indian, every Rotarian, and every educationalist in this country who's here to not only make a change, but make a change with culture and peace. Thank you so much to the governor of this club who's made this possible for me to stand in front of a few of you to express my words and say how culture and education actually shapes the peace in the world. The reason why we played the video is because we say transformation happens young. How young? Where is the question, right? And we also heard a quote that says, peace is not about the existence of a war. It's about making sure we learn how to understand empathy, collaboration, and also respect with each other. So I believe that peace cannot start in global conferences like this, but it has to start in classrooms of every child, where the teacher treats the child well when she enters the class, where the child respects each other's opinion, and the child understands that it's not about just understanding diversity, but it's also treasuring the diversity around the world. And today, a few months ago, when I was requested and said, you should come to the conference and talk about it, I felt like I was going to talk about my work. Because today, let's go back in time and ask ourselves, we're always running behind change, right? Change, challenges, causes to these changes, the curiosity within it. But the question in front of us, or the question in front of me 7 years ago when I got into education, Aishwarya, which part of the education will you take up and what different, right? And instead of me looking at the change all the time, I asked myself one different question. And I'm going to ask that to all of you today. What will not change in the education system 10 years from now? Can you think of something? Always we're asking, right? What is changing next? What is coming next? What is going to happen next? How do we prepare for that change? But say, I ask a question to all of you. What will not change in the education system?
Learning.
Yes?
Learning.
Learning? Teachers?
Teachers will be
Values? Yeah? When I asked myself this question, I realized that the kind acquire might change. Not. The kind of skills, thank you sir for sports, the kind of skills that we build to ourselves will not change. Maybe the skill used for a certain thing change. For example, reading, writing is a skill, right? Even with chat and AI today, you need to read and write. You need to listen and hear, so skills will not change. Finally, our expectation in school, respect the elders, right? To have discipline in a classroom, to actually ask how you're going to treat your seniors, to the people around you, will not change. So the three core things that will not change in the education system is acquiring knowledge, developing skills, and actually displaying a value system. Asking myself that, I ask myself, where is the values in our system? And today, the requirement of value in our system of education started only because our families are becoming nuclear. Think about it, to every Indian, to every Bhutanese, to every other country citizen sitting down here, I'm sure it is the same relation to all of you. Where did we learn our first values? Did we learn it in schools? No. Learned it on those dining tables. We learned it on those breakfast tables. We learned it when that relative walked into our house and we were taught how to greet them and how to respect them and how to make them comfortable in our house. Right? But today, with nuclear families, these value systems have moved into schools. It is the school's job to teach you how to greet someone, how to sit on a dining table, how to speak to someone who probably has a diverse nature. Right? But with the respect to schools, my next question to you is, are we building the narrative right? Are we talking to our children that school is so important and values are that important? When you come back from school, are you asking a kid which value did you embrace or which respect did you learn today? You're asking which lesson did you learn today? And the lesson is always academic, right? Considering all this, I felt a space will get its value only by giving it a physical space. Why is a Rotary conference so important to every Rotarian here? It's because all of you get effort into it, you get to display how well you have performed in your system and how much value you've had into the system, right? If you only had to work hard and never got a platform to tell you or a space, sorry, I can use the mic. Yeah, only got a space to actually only do work but not come and exhibit, would you think it's a valuable job? Just like that in schools, only when you have a math lab, chemistry lab and a physics lab is math, physics and chemistry is important. Not just because it's taught in classrooms. Which is why we revolutionized how education and value education and peace education or moral education is taught in schools. We created a space of importance and we called it Catalyst. Catalyst, where I discover myself, where you discover yourself, and where each of us embrace the diversity in us. And what were these elements of the Catalyst? It was a small value education lab which spoke about the importance of growth mindset. That's exactly what each Rotarian does every day. From a fixed mindset of this can be done, you visualize to grow your mindset saying this also can be done. And I'm sure that's why a unique conference like this, which Rotarians were confined themselves to health and education and sectors like that, and today are talking about peace building. Peace building, which is a combination of community and culture. Peace creates a problem only when culture is not respected. How many of you agree with me on this? I'll repeat my statement. Peace comes to being or existence only when two cultures are not respected. So we taught our children to grow their mindset. The second most important element there was constructive conflict resolution. Today, conflicts don't happen between two people or two situations. Conflict happens between me and myself. Conflict happens in our minds, whether we have to do something right or wrong. Conflict happens in our culture, whether it is a part of our culture or not. With the increasing polarization, conflicts cannot just be managed. They need to be resolved. When I asked myself, we said it's only in corporates that we manage conflicts. In education institutions, we need to resolve conflicts. And resolution was more important than management. So we put up a constructive conflict resolution room for each child to come in and ask them 7 questions to themselves as they self-discover themselves. So students understood that conflicts are embraced, conflicts are celebrated, because it's not just the end of a conflict, but you get to form a solution in the future for that conflict, right? Then we went to the most important concept of I respect. Why do we call it I respect? And the I comes in a small letter and the respect stands bold there. Firstly, in order to respect someone else, you need to respect yourself. Right? Without self-respect, I don't think respect for anyone else matters. And we elaborated I respect into integrity, responsibility, empathy, sustainability, equity, peace, and trust. Peace was a part of our value system. And after every lesson, the child had to understand and tell us whether they learned responsibility in class, integrity in class, did they have peace in class, how do they perform truth in class. Right? Have we taught this in our classrooms? Did we learn it in our classrooms? We didn't. We learned it from our parents, we learned it from our roots, we learned it from our culture. But today, it holds in us as the education responsibility to teach that child that conflict is a part of our life. And what's exciting about it is that you can create problems and solutions in the process of that conflict resolution. Finally, we went to our 4th element, which was self-affirmation. You as Rotarians today are sitting down here because you're self-affirmed that you need to make a difference to the society and not just your family. That is the affirmation you have in your hand. But are we teaching that affirmation to our child? Today, with social media and a lot of extra data that's been put in, which is unfiltered into the system, the biggest problem in every child, in every youth, and also every adult sitting in front of me is the fact of being validated and having the fear of being judged. How do you get over this validation? Can you always wait for someone else to come and affirm you how good you are? You can't. You need to stand in front of that mirror today and say, yes, I can add value to myself, my family, and my society. How is the question in front of us? This is what we aimed to teach children in the classrooms, in those corridors. We told them to self-affirm themselves to the belief that they can inhale confidence every day and exhale out confusions. This is how self-affirmation made a difference to every child who walked into those doors. Finally, the sixth important element that we brought in peace building and value education was gratitude. And I think an event like this is filled with immense sense of gratitude within us and for the people around the room. And I think we should learn from you best Rotarians that thank you is not told only when you receive something, but thank you is told to every time you have felt like a value has been added not just to you, but to the society around you. And we teach this to children. Children say thank you as not just a practice, but also a culture in our organization. How do we make each one of this the culture of how they grow was the question in front of us. Finally, the seventh and the most important element, which was a big confusion and was asked and questioned to me from a lot of educators from across the world, Aishwarya, is it the age to teach it? But I still thought it was forgiveness. We talk about peace, we talk about conflicts. What's going to bind that conflict together with that peace is the sense of forgiveness. What we told our children were anger was sadness that had nowhere to go but came out as an emotion of anger. Right? When that emotion comes off and when that emotion kicks in, we taught our children that this bundle of forgiveness can be divided into forget, forgive, heal, and bless. Which bundle do you want to throw this in? Right? What you can't forget, you should forgive. What you can't forgive, you can forget. And what you can't forget and forgive, you must ask the God to heal and bless. Isn't that what our system and our root system teaches us? And that's what we taught our children. Our children learn to diversify their emotion as not just anger, but forget, forgive, bless, and heal. And all this combinedly created a culture of value system in our organizations that today I'm proud to say that we've taken beyond our walls and taken to more than 25-30 schools across India, and we want to grow more. So today, ladies and gentlemen, when you sit in the stage and think, how do I bring about the peace? It's not going to happen in a conference like this. It has to happen in the corridors of the school. It has to happen in those classrooms where you build the narrative young as possible, because that narrative becomes the culture of how you lead your life. Right? And when I was trying to define peace for myself, I must tell you, it was not many years ago that I just walked into a rural school to understand what exactly happens there. Just like this social media, I saw a small child listening to a song, maybe from a Bhutan movie, and dancing to it. And I looked at her and said, do you understand the lyrics? She said, no ma'am, I don't, but I enjoy the music. It feels like flower in my ears and I want to feel it. Can I know more about it? Is the question she asked me. And today, if I have to define peace to all of you, peace is that curious child who wants to know more without having a bias and a narrative in our head. And let's build those children for a better future and a better tomorrow. Let's build that curiosity in every child who can think that difference is a treasure and not a difficulty. Let's build that child who feels that, education is taking ownership of what she's learning and not a boundary in which she has to perform. Let's build that child who curiously says and respects the difference amongst the people and not feel differences as a threat to believe and voice out what she thinks is right or wrong. Today, education, the world revolves around not knowing all the answers, my dear friends, but asking the right questions. And let's ask the right questions to build a peaceful future. And let's make sure education is at the root to it as we make humanity the fruit tomorrow. Thank you so much and have a great day. And I must thank every Rotarian to giving me this opportunity and speak here to tell each one of you how education can change and transform the world. I don't know about the other countries, but in India, we are the youth, and let's transform it with the power of education to uphold the peace, the culture, and the collaboration among various countries to go. And let's not just be that follower of the change, but let's lead the change in front of us. Thank you and have a great day.
What a meaningful and a very motivating address. Let's give Srimati Aishwarya a huge round of applause. May I request our DG, Rotarian Mahadev Prasad, and First Lady Rotarian Rajeshwari to honor and felicitate Srimati Aishwarya DKS Hegde. How beautifully said, right? How beautifully summarized. How narratives built in classrooms can build the culture for life. In how education and right value-based education can help resolve conflicts. Thank you so much, Aishwarya, for that very meaningful address. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we looked at the installation of peace and resolving conflicts from the education perspective. Now, let's move on to our own, that is the Rotary perspective on peace and conflict resolution. To address on this topic, let me welcome our DGN Rotarian Ravi Shankar Dokoju. Let's give a huge round of applause.